Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, it often feels like the world, especially with all the noise from social media and constant
Oh,
comparisons.
yeah.
It's just shouting at us,
Yeah,
right? Be positive all the time, be endlessly happy, chase some kind of perfection that doesn't really exist.
totally. It's exhausting.
It is. And if you've been feeling that strain, trying to keep up, well, today we're going to kind of flip that whole idea on its head.
That's right. Today, we're diving deep into Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Feck.
Huge title.
Right. Yeah, it definitely gets your attention.
It does. And while it might sound like it's about, apathy or just not caring, trust us.
Yeah.
The wisdom in there is actually pretty profound. It's a
Yeah.
counterintuitive way to maybe live a better life.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really unpack Manson's approach. Forget chasing those constant highs. We'll dig into why real satisfaction, the lasting kind, often comes from facing life's challenges head on, from choosing what really matters to you.
Yes, selectively. And finding purpose right there in the middle of all the messiness of just existing. You might find out that not giving a fuck isn't indifference. It's actually a really liberating way of caring, but selectively.
Yeah, a powerful kind of selective caring. And we've pulled insights straight from the book, looked at study guides, the core
Yeah,
ideas.
we're getting the real scoop.
Yep, giving you the straight story on what Manson's actually getting at.
Okay, so let's jump in. This modern world, you mentioned social media, consumer culture.
Yeah.
It just bombards us, doesn't it?
Constantly.
Be happier, healthier, richer, more perfect. It's like this pressure cooker.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it leaves a lot of people feeling insecure, maybe even fosters this weird sense of entitlement sometimes.
And Manson has a name for this, right? Something about a feedback loop.
Yeah, the feedback loop from hell. Think about it. It's like you feel anxious, okay, but then you start feeling anxious about being anxious.
Oh, I know that feeling. Or guilty about feeling guilty.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a quick thought. This cycle gets driven by that societal pressure, the one that says you should always feel good.
Which ironically just makes you feel worse.
Totally. Keeps you trapped, judging yourself.
Okay, so that's where the subtle art comes in. It's not about just throwing your hands up.
No, not at all. Manson's not saying be indifferent. It's about choosing, like really choosing where you put your attention, your energy.
Reserving his word, your fucks.
Right.
For the things that are actually true, immediate, and genuinely important in your life, figuring out what adds real value.
And this ties into something he calls the backwards law, which is pretty paradoxical.
Okay, explain that. Backwards law.
Well, it basically says the more desperately you try to grab onto a positive experience like being super rich or looking amazing or even just feeling happy all the time,
Yeah.
the less satisfied you actually become. Because the chasing itself kind of reminds you constantly that you don't have it yet.
Huh. So wanting it makes you feel like you lack it, which makes you unhappy. Wow.
Right. It creates this, perpetual dissatisfaction.
Yes, so the flip side, accepting negative stuff can actually lead to positive outcomes. Is it really that simple?
It sounds weird, but yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
He points out, sometimes caring less about something helps you do it better.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, think about obsessing over saving for some fancy car, right? Or being on a super strict diet for that perfect beach body, that intense, almost desperate wanting.
Yeah.
It can actually sabotage you. Pressure gets in the way.
Okay, that makes sense. And connecting this to happiness overall, Manson says it's not like a destination you arrive at.
No, not a fixed state at all. He sees it as an ongoing activity.
Yeah.
Something that comes from solving problems.
Problems, but we want to get rid of problems.
Well, yeah, but they're always going to be there, right?
Yeah.
They don't disappear. They just change. They upgrade,
Right.
or you swap one set for another.
Ah, okay. So the trick isn't to have no problems.
Exactly. It's to find the problems you actually kind of enjoy having, the ones you enjoy solving. That's where the real, authentic happiness is found.
That's actually really powerful. So for everyone listening right now, maybe pause and think, what stuff are you giving a fuck about that might just be, noise, superficial distractions?
Good question to ask yourself.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. This next idea might sting a little at first. The idea that you're not special.
Oof. Yeah, that one ruffles some feathers.
Right. Our culture is obsessed with telling everyone they have to be extraordinary. Like, a superstar athlete, a billionaire, tech genius.
Yeah, mass media just shoves the truly extraordinary in our faces constantly. So exceptional starts to feel like the baseline, the new normal.
And what does that do to regular folks?
Well, Manson argues it makes average people feel really insecure, desperate even, and that can lead to compensating, like through entitlement.
Ah, entitlement. He talks about these jimmies.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the Jimmies, these are the folks who are like all talk, no walk. They have this delusional self-confidence, thinking they just deserve good things without actually, earning them.
Like the wannabe entrepreneur who's always got $1 million idea but never actually starts anything.
Exactly that type.
Okay, so the counter-argument is accepting being average. That sounds kind of depressing.
You'd think so, but Manson flips it. He says accepting that you're probably average in most things is actually vital for emotional health.
How so?
It takes off that crushing pressure, the need to be amazing all the time. It frees you up to just appreciate the simple things.
Like what?
Like, basic stuff. Friendship, creating something just for fun, helping someone out, getting lost in a good book, finding value in the everyday, not just the spectacular.
And true self-worth isn't just about feeling good about your good points.
No, he says it's more about how you feel about your negative sides, your flaws, and are you willing to actually work on them?
Unlike entitled people.
Right. Entitled people often deny their flaws so they can't genuinely improve. They're stuck because they won't even admit there's something to fix.
This feels like it connects to values then, like what you measure yourself by.
Absolutely. Manson uses this metaphor of a self-awareness onion.
An onion, okay.
Yeah, layers, right? Outer layer.
Yeah.
Just understanding your emotions. Okay, this makes me feel sad.
Got it.
Peel that back. You ask why. Why do I feel sad? Understanding the root cause. Because I missed that deadline. But the deepest layer, the core of the onion, that's your personal values. By what standard am I judging myself here and everyone else? This layer dictates the kind of problems you have.
Okay, so values determine your problems. And there are good and bad values.
He calls them shitty values and good values.
Okay, give me the shitty ones first.
Things like chasing pleasure constantly, needing material success to feel worthy, always having to be right, forcing yourself to stay positive no matter what.
Why are those shitty?
Because they're often external, depending on outside stuff you can't control. Or if they're based on denying reality, they lead to bad, unsolvable problems.
He used that musician example, right? Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, from Megadeth. Hugely successful band, right. But he was apparently miserable for years because he was always comparing himself to Metallica, who were even more famous.
So his value was success relative to Metallica.
Exactly. An external, uncontrollable benchmark that guaranteed he'd feel like he wasn't enough. It created an unsolvable problem for him.
Wow. Okay, so what's the opposite? What's a good value?
Good values are internal, controllable, reality-based. Things like honesty, innovation, vulnerability, standing up for yourself, self-respect, curiosity, humility, creativity.
It's things you can actually choose to live by regardless of what happens outside.
Precisely. And they lead to better problems you can actually work on and grow from, like a Pete Best example.
The original Beatles drummer, who got fired right before they blew up.
That's the one. Huge potential loss, right? But he apparently found genuine happiness later by shifting his values, prioritizing family and a different kind of life over fame.
He changed his metric for success.
He did. It shows good values lead to authentic happiness, even if it doesn't look like conventional success.
Okay, that's a lot to think about. So, listeners, again, what are your deep down values? Are they setting you up for solvable problems, or are they keeping you stuck chasing things you can't control?
Yeah, really sit with that one.
All right, moving into maybe the tougher stuff. Pain, failure, responsibility, these don't sound very liberating at first glance.
No, they don't sound like fun, do they?
Yeah.
But Manson argues they're essential. Life isn't always easy, right? Pain, dissatisfaction, they're unavoidable.
Baked into the system.
Pretty much. He says they're nature's preferred agent for inspiring change. We're actually wired to become dissatisfied with whatever we have eventually. It pushes us forward.
Keeps us from getting too comfortable.
Maybe. He even has this funny metaphor, disappointment panda.
Disappointment panda, okay.
Yeah, like this superhero whose power is just delivering harsh truths that you need to hear.
What's the panda's message?
That suffering isn't pointless. It's biologically useful. Physical pain, like stubbing your toe,
Ouch.
teaches you limits, right? Helps you avoid worse injury. Psychological pain, like rejection or failure.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to adapt, avoid the same mistakes, maybe change your approach. It's feedback, not just bad luck.
So don't run from the pain, learn from it.
That's the core idea, which leads to his concept, choose your struggle.
Okay, what does that mean?
He says the really important question isn't what do you want out of life?
Yeah.
Everyone wants the good stuff. The better question is, what pain are you willing to endure? What are you willing to struggle for?
Because the struggle is where the meaning comes from.
Exactly. True fulfillment is earned through choosing and managing the struggles that come with what you value. He talks about his own dream of being a rock star.
Yeah.
Loved the idea of it, the reward. But he wasn't willing to put in the hours, the drudgery of practicing, he calls it. He didn't love the struggle.
So you gotta love the process, not just the prize.
That's it. And if you're stuck, not feeling motivated, he has this do something principle.
Don't wait for motivation, just act.
Yep. We usually think motivation comes first, then action. He says, flip it. Action creates motivation.
How does that work?
Just do something. Anything, really. Even something small. Then harness the reaction to that action. Maybe a small success, maybe just the feeling of having done something and use that as fuel.
Like the novelist example, writing just a few words.
Yeah, write 200 crappy words a day.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they're good. The point is, you acted. That action can spark inspiration, create momentum. Motion creates emotion.
So if you're stuck, the answer is literally just move, do anything.
Pretty much. When action is the metric, even failure pushes you forward because you learned something, you tried something.
Okay, this is practical. Now, what about responsibility versus fault? That seems tricky.
It's a crucial distinction. Manson stresses, you might not be at fault for something bad happening to you, like you get robbed, or something truly tragic happens, like Malala Yousafzai being shot. Obviously not her fault.
Right.
But, he argues, you are always responsible for how you respond to it, how you choose to interpret it, how you deal with the aftermath.
So fault is about the past. Responsibility is about the present and future.
Kind of. Blaming others might feel good for a second, gives you that little dopamine hit of righteousness.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it disempowers you. You're giving control of your feelings and actions to someone else or something else. Taking responsibility, even when it's not your fault, gives you back the agency.
He mentions William James, right, the psychologist.
Yeah, a great example. James apparently struggled personally for years. And he did this experiment. For 1 year, he decided to act as if he were 100% responsible for everything that happened in his life, good or bad.
Wow, that's intense.
Totally. But that shift in perspective, taking radical responsibility, led to his own rebirth and his major contributions to psychology. It shows the power of choosing your response.
And this relates to avoiding certainty, too, like being too sure of yourself.
Definitely. Manson warns against the dangers of certainty. Being too fixed in your beliefs, your identity, it actually stops you from growing.
You need to be open to being wrong.
Yes. Embrace uncertainty. Question your own assumptions constantly. He cheekily says, you're wrong about everything, meaning be willing to revise your views. That's essential for development.
It makes sense. If you think you know it all, you stop learning.
And this connects to his law of avoidance. The more something threatens your identity, the more you will avoid it.
So we avoid things that challenge how we see ourselves, even if the change would be good for us.
Exactly. We cling to that comfortable self-image. That's why his advice to metaphorically kill yourself isn't morbid. It's about letting go of those rigid, perhaps overly grand ideas of who you think you are to allow for real change.
And he connects this avoidance and blame to a cultural trend, too.
Yeah.
Victimhood chic.
Yeah, he touches on that. The tendency, maybe amplified by social media, for people to seek attention or moral high ground by framing themselves as victims, sometimes over minor things.
Like outrage porn.
Kind of. He argues it distracts from real problems and, crucially, it lets people avoid taking personal responsibility for their own lives and choices by focusing on perceived slights.
Okay, so, again, for you listening, what fears or uncertainties are you avoiding? And how could taking responsibility, even for stuff that wasn't your fault, actually empower you?
Deep questions. Worth thinking about.
All right, let's bring it towards the end here. Commitment, boundaries, and finding that ultimate compass. It feels like freedom means having tons of choices, right?
That's the common idea, yeah. But Manson argues true freedom and meaning come from the opposite. Selective commitment.
And setting clear boundaries.
Less is more.
Kind of. Think about the paradox of choice. Too many options can actually make us anxious, less satisfied, always worried about the road not taken.
FOMO, fear of missing out.
Totally. So Manson says rejecting alternatives, saying no to some things, is crucial to truly value and invest in other things. We are defined by what we choose to reject.
So commitment narrows your focus but deepens the meaning.
Exactly. It leads to genuine freedom from the anxiety of infinite options. And this applies heavily to relationships, too.
Okay, boundaries in relationships, how does that work? Healthy relationships, he says, Have clear lines. Each person takes responsibility for their own problems, their own values.
Unlike unhealthy ones.
Right. In unhealthy dynamics, people might avoid their own issues or try to take responsibility for their partner's problems or blame their partner for their own feelings. You see that victim and saver thing.
Where they kind of enable each other's avoidance.
Precisely. They prop each other up in unhealthy ways, preventing real growth or responsibility.
And conflict isn't always bad.
No, he makes a strong point. Without conflict, there can be no trust. Being willing to say no, and importantly, to hear no, is fundamental for honest communication.
Building real trust takes that willingness to be uncomfortable, to be honest.
Yeah. It's about authenticity, not just keeping things smooth on the surface. Trust requires vulnerability and sometimes navigating disagreement constructively.
And Manson's own life story backs this up, right? His traveling phase versus settling down.
Oh yeah, it's a powerful example. He spent years as a nomad, hitting like 55 countries, chasing this idea of absolute freedom.
Sounds fun, but
he found it led to mostly superficial experiences, no deep roots, no lasting significance. It was breadth, but no depth.
So what changed?
He settled down, committed to his now wife, focused intensely on his writing. And paradoxically, that commitment, that narrowing of focus,
led to more freedom.
Yeah, and deeper meaning and way more success. He found that depth, not just roaming around, is where the gold is buried.
Okay, so commitment creates freedom. And the ultimate clarifier is death.
Sounds heavy, but yes. Manson argues that confronting our own mortality is the ultimate tool for figuring out what truly matters. It cuts through the superficial stuff.
How does that work? He mentions Ernest Becker.
Yeah, Becker talked about death terror, our underlying fear of annihilation, and how we create immortality projects to cope.
Immortality projects, like building a legacy.
Exactly. Building a business, writing a book, having kids, seeking fame. Ways our conceptual self, our identity and values might live on after our physical body dies.
But these projects can be a trap.
They can be, if they become the point and stop us from actually living authentically now, from accepting our mortality.
And Manson had a personal experience with this. His friend Josh.
Yeah. Sadly, his friend died young in an accident. Manson describes it as a huge turning point, a clear before-after.
How did it change him?
It shifted him from feeling insecure, kind of aimless, to becoming more responsible, hardworking. Facing death so closely gave him, as he puts it, permission to finally live.
Wow. It puts everything in perspective.
It really does.
Yeah.
Which leads to the ultimate question for all of us, the one Manson wants us to wrestle with. What is your legacy? How will the world be different and better when you're gone?
That's big.
It is. But he argues real happiness comes from caring about something bigger than just yourself. Seeing your life as part of a larger story.
I love that quote he has near the end about being great already.
Oh yeah, it's powerful. You are great already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because you launched an iPhone app or buy yourself a sweet-ass boat.
Yeah.
You were already great because in the face of endless confusion and certain death, you continue to choose what to give a fuck about and what not to.
Yeah. That kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Choosing what matters.
It really does.
Well, this deep dive into Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Feck. Wow. It's definitely shown that real self-improvement isn't about, dodging pain or faking positivity.
Not at all.
It's about really committing to what matters to you, embracing the struggle that comes with it, taking radical responsibility, setting boundaries, and, letting the fact that we're not here forever be a guide.
Mm-hmm. As Manson himself found, the more I peer into the darkness, the brighter life gets, the quieter the world becomes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real liberation in that, in choosing where you give your fucks.
Absolutely. So we invite you, everyone listening, take a moment. Consider what you're truly willing to struggle for, what honestly deserves your limited time and energy, what will you choose to give a fuck about.
We really hope this chat gave you something valuable, something practical maybe, to help navigate things with a bit more clarity, maybe a bit more purpose.
And hey, if you found this deep dive helpful or just interesting, do us a quick favor.
Yeah.
Hit that like button, maybe drop a comment with your thoughts, and definitely subscribe so you don't miss our next exploration.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep digging deeper, keep questioning, and keep growing.